Well, shooters out there, this is Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone, and today's topic is buying Marlin lever action rifles, specifically the Model 336 and the Model 1894. Now, as you know, Remington actually acquired Marlin back in the year 2008, and what Remington did was they moved all the manufacturing of the lever actions to the Remington plant in Ilion, New York. And a lot of the craftsmen from Marlin didn't go over there. So when Remington made the changeover, the rifles they produced in 2008, 2009 were uniformly horrible. And shooters that bought them found out that they were just terrible quality control. So be very wary of buying any used Marlins that have Ilion, New York stamped on the barrel. Because right now all those bad used Marlins are hitting the used gun market. And if you buy a used one that says Ilion, New York on it, be very careful. You're probably going to wind up with one of those bad quality control rifles. Avoid them like the plague. But today, if you get a brand new Marlin 336 off the rack, you're going to find that Remington's gotten their act together and the current Marlins are pretty good. Now, of course, check it out before you buy. If you like what you see, and you like what you feel, and you like the action, the current Marlin 336 is a good bet. Now, that also applies if you're one of the lucky shooters to find a new Marlin 1894 at your gun store, because I haven't seen a new Model 1894 in a long time. And I've been telling all the shooters out there that if you see a used Model 1894 Marlin, you ought to go ahead and get it. Now, once again, beware of any 1894s made during the 2008-2009 period, because those are just like the 336s. Remington did not have their act together, and they're horrible. You get stuck with one of them, it's a lemon. So we've all been looking for used ones or brand new ones. You might get a very good brand new one if you can find one. Now, what you can do is go to your favorite gun store and ask the establishment there to be on the lookout for a used Marlin 1894 for you. And if they can locate you one, well, you can do some business. I'd like to thank the folks at Elite Armory. They're worth driving a long way to go there because they give great customer service. Specifically, Mario and Andrew there located for me a Marlin 1894 used. Now, if you find a new Model 1894, by all means, thank your lucky stars. Check it out. If the action is good and you like what you see and you like what you feel, buy it without any reservations. That's a new one. Now, if you get a used one like this one, here are some things you look for. Now, I wish I did a video of this rifle when I first picked it up and brought it home, because what you saw on it was big scratches where you saw bare wood, scratches along here where you saw bare wood, big gouges right here where you saw actual bare wood, and it looked horrible. Scratches all over, and the metal had this mottled look. You can see a little bit of it there, but it was mottled, like it was caught in the rain, and it looked like it was rusted and really in bad shape. However, the action was good, and I actually brought a flashlight and a bore brush, and I cleaned out the barrel and looked down the barrel with the flashlight, and the micro groove rifling was good. Nothing wrong with the barrel. Plus, it functioned well, like old Marlins do. And so I said, you know what? Even though it looks pretty bad, pretty beat up, like it gone through a lot of deer hunting. It was thrown on the tailgate of a truck a number of times. Maybe it was leaned against a tree and hit some rocks when it fell over a few times. This kind of thing. Even though it looked pretty beat up, I said, sold. See the scratches on the metal? The barrel has some scratches here and there, like right there. But the crown was good. No damage there. And that's important. But what I did was I took some ballistol. And I used the ballistol all over the wood. And all those places where the wood looked bare, when you get some ballistol in there, the ballistol darkens the wood. It actually soaks into the wood, drives out water, and it makes the wood with a nice patina. And it gets rid of all that bare wood look, that ugly look. Actually cleaned it up real well to where it's presentable. Look at this. And even that real bad gouge right here, it was actually bare wood. Very contrasted to the darker finish here. Well, the ballistol soaked in there, darkened the wood right up, and what you're seeing is, notice the ballistol isn't even apparent, but what it did was it darkened all that wood in there, and now it doesn't even look that bad. Plus, the ballistol, with a lot of work on here, cleaned up all that mottled look. The bluing, and the beauty of the bluing came back out. And even the scratches aren't that bad anymore. It'll make you happy. But with used Marlins, here are some other things that are very important to look for. You work the loading gate. You make sure that spring in there is nice and consistent. And it is. Then when you work the action, you gotta look and see, does the carrier rise up like right there? Does the carrier rise up and function well? There it is. Plus, look to see if the ejector is still there. It's possible for Marlins that are used to be missing the ejector. Well, this one's there. Check for rust inside the bolt right along here. Check to see that your lever doesn't have a lot of side play. You'll see some Marlins where that thing just rattles back and forth. This is the right amount. Check to see if there's been abuse to the rear sight. This one hasn't got any. Also, check the screws. Now notice there's a little bit of damage to that screw right there. Right there. When that screw was tightened up, the screwdriver slipped in the tightening up position, and it actually caused some damage to that screw. That's okay. It's not that bad. But you do want to check all the screws. Now another one that you want to check is this one right here. Because that screw is the one that's used to take the spring out of the magazine to clean the magazine tube. And you'll see there's some damage to that screw. But it's acceptable. And if I don't like it, I can order new screws. But if you see some scratches coming off from the screws, well, it's just because that person wasn't very careful. There aren't any real bad scratches in that regard. Although, if you look carefully on this side, you'll see some scratches where the person was tightening those little screws up and the screwdriver kept slipping out of there. Well, that's unfortunate, but it did not stop me from buying this rifle. I'm very glad I did. A lot of the bars along the edge of the receiver is just honest use. These rifles were brought out and used in deer hunting, and you can't help getting some honest wear and tear on it. Well, I asked Dario and Andrew over at Elite Armory to keep their eyes open for a model 1894 in the other calibers like 357 Magnum or 41 Magnum or 45 Long Colt, because if they can find me those, I'm probably in the market for those too. And I'd still tell all of you shooters out there, 1894s, you run into one used, put the nab on it. Now what you have here is a small piece of the fuzz side of Velcro stuck right there that doesn't hide the serial number, but what it does is, if you're in a blind or a stand or hunting with your buddy, that if you see a quarry and you go ahead and get ready to engage the quarry, you can go ahead and go to full cock without making any noise at all. Of course, we're going to maintain the pointing of our gun in a safe direction when we're doing that. But that allows you to hunt and engage the game without making any noise to alert the game. Well, shooters, be on the lookout for these used Marlin model 1894s. I keep telling everyone, if you see a used one in good condition, or even if it doesn't look like it's in quite good condition, but it runs well, don't be afraid to pick it up. I certainly am very glad I got this one. It happens to be a rifle made in 1992. All Marlin 1894s made after 1983 have this crossbolt safety. If you run into one that doesn't have the crossbolt safety, then you're holding one of the primo older Marlin model 1894s. My advice to you is stay calm, stay cool, just reach for your checkbook slowly or your credit card, because you got one classic for the ages. Bye for now.